So I'm about to give my review on Minnesota One Stop for Communities. I'm looking at the website right now. If y'all unfamiliar with Minnesota One Stop for Communities, we're gonna go over their overview and read what they're about. Because this is my first time dealing with Minnesota One Stop, and my experience has been less than satisfactory. Matter of fact, it's been awful. It's probably one of the worst services I've ever had to go through. And at a time of need and desperation, I don't feel like I should have to be subject to this, but we're going to read over their website and give them a review. So, Minnesota One Stop for Communities says here the vision of Minnesota One Stop for Communities is to strengthen and support individuals and families and communities to be safe, stable, and healthy. Okay, that's what their vision is. Now, obviously, that wasn't the vision that S. Johnson and his conspirators have, because they didn't do that for me. In my case, they did not provide a safe environment, nor did they provide stability or a healthy environment in order for me to, thrive in their program. So I can't say that they're currently fulfilling their vision. Their mission, let's go over that. The mission of the Minnesota One Stop for Communities is to support parents navigate the children protection system along with monitoring those receiving from substance abuse. We provide housing to single adults and families along with emergency shelters to bring them from homelessness to housing. So, with that being said, okay, I'm not recovering from substance abuse. I'm not a recovering, abuser of any sorts. I'm not a junkie. I've never been an alcoholic or anything like that. So, you know, I don't know if that is something that they, it's a blanket statement that like goes across of all the people that they work for. I'm not sure if that's a prerequisite or some sort of thing or experience you had to go through, because I made it quite clear that that was not the case with me. That I am not an abuser. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't suffer from any substance abuse. I've never been to a substance abuse class because I've never been found guilty of substance abuse. I don't do drugs. I'm not, I'm just poor. To be honest, I'm just poor. I'm poor and I'm disabled, and I'm limited with my income. So, I'm not sure, if I even fit this supposedly mission that they're talking about. So, well, let's read this one more time. The mission of Minnesota One Stop for Communities is to support parents navigating the child protective system, along with monitoring, not monitoring, mentoring those who are recovering. My bad, who are recovering from substance abuse. We provide housing to single adults and families, along with emergency shelters to bring them from homelessness to housing. All right. Let's just go to that end part. We provide housing to single adults, which I am, and families with emergency shelters to bring them from homelessness to housing. Okay. So I feel like that has been somewhat achieved, but not necessarily when it came to me, because there was an offer for housing which would have brought me from homelessness to, a home. However, the housing that was offered to me was uninhabitable, and because of the pests which made the unit uninhabitable, I made a complaint about that, and because I complained about it, S. Johnson retaliated against me and illegally evicted me from, my home that they just offered me, and told me pretty much, I'm SOL and they're going to put me in a shelter. until they, do whatever they're claiming that they're going to do. And I'm like, well, instead of staying in a shelter, bro, I'll just stay in my car because I don't want to be around an environment with other people or, people struggling with mental issues and things of that nature. I don't want to be in that environment. I'd rather be by myself because, I know how triggering that environment is. And, I don't want to be labeled something I'm not, or put in a situation or environment that is not safe, or et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, hey, if you're gonna provide me another habitable environment or housing, I am totally down with that. But I'm not gonna relinquish or voluntarily relinquish property to y'all until that happens. And because I didn't follow the demands of S. Johnson and his coworker, he retaliated on me by giving false statements to his supervisor in order to harm me and put me off of this program, which significantly does damage to, my chances and effects at remaining and retaining housing, stable housing for me, as a vulnerable adult who is homeless, who is suffering from being homeless because of this housing crisis, mainly in the economic state of the country. Okay? Listen here. It says, it's talking about mentoring for parents and navigating and all that. Parent mentors. I don't need none of that. I don't need none of this. Well, housing, I definitely need housing. It says we provide housing support to those who are experiencing long-term homelessness, as well as those who are at risk of being homeless. Okay, so that should be what's going on, but I'm not getting that service accurately provided to me because I'm dealing with a criminal within this company known as S. Johnson. That's short for Sean Johnson, who's the housing coordinator over here at Minnesota One Stop, who has committed several crimes against me since working with him through this Minnesota One Stop. And he's using Minnesota One Stop to financially exploit myself and others, I believe, in my opinion. Let's go. So I've contacted MinnesotaOneStop.org, and I talked to a Treese. Let's see if Treese is on here. Here we go, our staff. Let's see who's the staff there. So I have not spoken to Lauren Randall Wade. I have not had the pleasure of speaking with her yet or communicating with her yet. She looked kind of pregnant in this picture. So if you were pregnant, if you had a child, congratulations. So this is this person and their expertise, I guess. Lisa Crockett. I don't believe I've spoken with her either. October Allen, a parent mentor supervisor, housing shelter director. Okay, so this is who I'm speaking to right now. Trish Ivory. Trish Ivory is the housing shelter director. This is who I am speaking with, or who I've spoken with, I believe, who is the supervisor of Sean Johnson. So she is the one that is liable for the actions of Sean Johnson directly. Not that the others are not liable. The whole company might be liable for Sean Johnson's actions, but this is the one who is his direct supervisor and the one I was talking to, and I hope that she gets to review the information I sent to her. And she seemed to be a very pleasant woman, despite the fact that they made a decision upon me without, doing any type of investigation of the claims that was made by S. Dot Johnson. S. Dot Johnson just goes in there and makes claims, and without examining the claims presented to them by S. Dot Johnson and other coworkers, they blindly accept those claims to be true without any evaluation, without any oversight or investigation, which is very troubling. That is very extremely terrifying that someone that could just make up accusations and whatever that they want, and y'all would enforce them, especially when it's considering someone's housing, someone's shelter, and safety. And y'all dealing with disabled people like myself, people who are vulnerable adults, and these crisis situations, and y'all are allowing your staff to abuse people in this manner without any oversight or investigation or evaluation into the claims made by your subordinates, to me is unacceptable. Ivory, it's unacceptable. It is highly unprofessional, and this is why I have such a negative reaction towards what you have admitted to me, saying that y'all allowed this man to remove me from the program without witnessing or evaluating or investigating his claims. Just because you like this man or have had this relationship with him for a year, and based on that, you allow him to make whatever claims he wants and do whatever he wants, and that's unacceptable. Okay, that's just unacceptable. That's just what it is. Now let's go to the actual reviews. Let's see what reviews were left. Okay, so there's not many reviews. There's one review I see. This is from Vinco G or Vinco G. He writes 5 months ago, so this is not even a year ago. It's 5 months ago. It says here 1 star, not helpful at all. They can tell you anything with no policies to follow, and then lie to you regarding their behavior. You're better off reading a book. Oh yeah, they get paid by the same entities you're going up against. Ha ha, they work together. They're all connected or all connected. This is what Vinco J put down as a review. And so far, I have to agree 1,000%. I have to agree with this because this is also my experience. This is very much my experience with the mishandling of my situation dealing with S. Dot Johnson. It's the same, that I was unfairly and unfavorably ruled upon on just only with a baseless claim that was made by S. Johnson without any evidence, without any investigation. Okay? So that tells me that y'all are not following any proper protocols or policies within this organization, which is extremely terrifying, like I said, because, I'm relying on y'all to provide me stable housing, habitable and stable, reliable housing, which is what you claim in your statements and your mission statements and so forth that you provide. But that is not clear, nor is it something I could bank on. Let's go over this other review. So I'm gonna assume Cinco's a male. I don't have no proof of that, but I'm gonna assume Cinco's a male. Let's go to, so that's the most relevant. Let's go to the newest review. Okay, so that is the latest review. And there's Andrea May who gave y'all a 5-point star. So there's only 2 reviews, or 1 review. I don't know how many reviews you got. On Facebook it says 5 out of 5. On Google it says 3 stars and two reviews. So I don't know what was said about y'all on Facebook, but let's take a look. So Facebook, there's 453 followers. Um, we got some stuff going on here. There goes AJ S. Johnson right there, as y'all can see. So he's one. So I believe there's only two males. This guy, within this entire staff. So this staff is mainly women, mainly women. So you have a very small number of men in this program to begin with. Maybe that's why they're so, hell bent on keeping him, because maybe they can't get no males to work here. I'm not sure what's going on. So this is what's going on with these people. This is way back in 2024. Maybe their staffing has changed since then. I'm not sure if all these people are here, but as you can see, this was before Johnson even got there. So this is look at all the women, and there's only one guy. That's crazy work, y'all. There's no men that can work at this nonprofit or something. Like, what is this? What's going on? Yeah, y'all hired him for like diversity needs or something like that. Like, geez, Louise, there's no men that qualify for this job. Look, y'all might need to hire me. I ain't gonna front. I need a job, and I would love to take a what's his face job, because I think I'll be a lot better of a housing coordinator than S. Johnson is, because he doesn't have the time, people. As y'all know, he does not have the time. He doesn't have the time to deal with anything. He's so busy all the time dealing with other people's problems, and he's not going to deal with your problem. And in his opinion, there's someone out there who's going through worse than me, and he would like to go deal with them instead of dealing with me. He'd rather let me, suffer while he deals with other people, because he doesn't want to deal with me, because in his opinion, I'm being hostile. Okay. So, for that, he needs to be, I feel like he needs to be terminated, straight up. Like, he needs to be terminated from the program, as he, terminated me from the program, by using false statements. So that's my reaction and my review for Minnesota One Stop. I feel like it is not as they claim. I feel like I have to side with Vinco and agree that is also the same unprofessional, unhinged, illegal, unlawful practices and experiences that I've had with Minnesota One Stop mirrors the same sentiments as the other dissatisfied individual in this review. And with that being said, I'm extremely disappointed, and I'm fighting this all the way, through the courts, and hopefully we get a favorable reaction from the judge and the general public, and get some assistance, some better quality assistance. I don't know what it's going to take. Maybe everybody needs to be fired. Maybe, they need a new staff. Maybe they need some more diversity. Maybe they could, hire some of these people that they've, affected, like myself. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. They obviously need some people who experienced homelessness and being in these situations and having to deal with people like S. Johnson, so that they can, draw the empathy that they need to deal with this job. Because I would imagine that it is extremely difficult for people to understand what we are going through as vulnerable adults. And obviously, S. Johnson never has been a vulnerable adult, and he's had favor all throughout his life. He's a very privileged prick who does not empathize or sympathize with our behavior, with our lifestyle, and with our experiences. So he needs to go and find something else to do with his time, since he never has time for anything. That's my reaction and review. I'm through, and I'm out.